What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks, and today we are running Burakos with the background folk hero for a Shadowborn Apostles deck. The only problem with Shadowborn Apostles decks is, one, they don't do much until you get your 6 Shadowborn Apostles, and then they kind of just win the game. The only problem is getting those 6 Shadowborn Apostles. Well, now we have consistent card draw in the command zone and ramp, so there is a good chance we can cast some of those big demons outright. Additionally, we are consistently drawing cards with that folk hero background. Now, another thing I really wanted to make sure for you guys is that I included more than one way to win, because it kind of gets boring running a Shadowborn Apostles deck where you're just getting Athreos, shoving all of your Apostles back into your hand, playing them for free with Edgewalker, which I did still include that in the deck, but I wanted there to be another win con, and there is, and it is exciting. So, if you guys are ready for this deck tech, you're already subscribed? Let's get into it. Alright guys, let's start off with the fun stuff. The demons. Archfiend of Despair. Just a solid way to double the amount of life everybody loses each turn. Pretty solid. Notably, that will count for the Blood Artist effects, which doesn't always happen with those red effects that double damage. Demon of Dark Schemes. A super solid board wipe for those token strategies. Additionally, this can reanimate stuff from the graveyard, which can be really useful when we lose some of our key pieces. Vilis, Broker of Blood. This guy's gonna go ahead and draw us a lot of cards. We can use him as removal. Additionally, this guy's one of the key pieces that we need on the battlefield to win the game in our other scenario. Burakos, another solid card that's gonna help us not only fill our hand, but pay some life, which is, again, really important for what we want to do to win the game if we're not going infinite. Mortarion, this guy is what we're going to use to go ahead and end out the game if we're not doing it through the traditional Athreos God of Passageway, which I still will be going over in the video, but let's go over this one first. This one's super solid because the first thing we're going to do is fill our hand with a lot of cards using those Midnight Reaper effects or cards like Vilis, Broker of Blood, or Burakos, right? So now we've lost a lot of life and we have a lot of cards in hand. We can now activate Mortarion's ability to fill the board with a bunch of demons, and now what do we do with that super full hand? We play Baldan. Now our creatures are super buffed up and they're ready to attack because we also run Chroma's Memorial. Yes, this is a lot of mana, really mana intensive, but you don't have to do this all on the same turn, right? It'd be easier to play your Baldan, have your Chroma's Memorial in the back, and build up a bunch of treasure tokens. That way, we win the game out of nowhere essentially, and we do it through combat damage instead of comboing off, which gives me a more satisfying feeling. Moving on, we also run Ruin-Scarred Demon and Razoketh the Foul-Blooded. That way, the scenario I just pitched to you isn't Magic Christmas Land. We can consistently get that off almost every game if we have the mana to do so. Moving on, let's talk about our Shadowborn Apostle synergies. First off, let's cast nothing for those Shadowborn Apostles with Edgewalker, Defiler of Flesh, and Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Now, these cards are super solid because you really don't want to be paying anything for those Apostles. That way you can bring all of them back from your graveyard and throw them immediately onto the battlefield. Additionally, Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, another way we can pay life to basically boost up those Mortarion triggers. Additionally, Defiler of Flesh is super solid in this deck because it's going to buff our commander up and give him Menace, which is going to allow him to attack more, easily into our opponent, netting us those treasure tokens consistently. Echoing Return and Immortal Servitude can bring all of those Shadowborn Apostles back to your hand for an additional activation. Now, Lisa, Forgotten Archangel, and Athreos, God of Passage, are a solid way to throw those Apostles back into your hand. Now, Athreos is way better at this because what you essentially do is you attack one player like a rabid dog all game and get their life total to where they really can't pay that 3 life, right? You can't pay life you don't have. So, if we get them down to 1 or 2 life, they're not going to be able to pay for that, and we're just going to put all 6 of our Apostles back to our hand immediately. Notably, if they don't want us to put any of our Shadowborn Apostles back into our hand, they will have to pay 18 life, so that gets costly very fast. Then all we'll need is a Blood Artist to go ahead and machine gun our other opponents down while we're using that other guy like a pawn. It kind of sucks. Moving on, let's talk about some of the supporting cards in the deck. We have Alas, Blood Artist, and Zulaport Cutthroat. These are our Blood Artist effects. Normally you do want Blood Artist, like I said, because you don't want to kill that one player that you're using as a pawn. So Blood Artist is obviously the best here, but in a niche scenario, it is best to kill all opponents all at once. So we do include some other effects like that. Additionally, we have Shadowright's Priest. This one's really solid for just, sacking one of those apostles to bring a demon right onto the battlefield. We do run Viziers here. It is really useful to have a sack outlet. That way we don't kill ourselves by accident, right? Because you could potentially draw enough cards to kill yourself by paying or by losing all that life. Baldin Sentry Herdmaster is super solid in the deck, even if we're not doing that broken stuff with Mortarion, right? Because honestly, before you get your Shadowborn Apostles on the battlefield, you're just sitting there with 4 or 5 1/1s on the battlefield doing nothing. Well, Baldin can turn those 4 or 5 1/1s into some pretty decent attackers. Akroma's Memorial, a super solid card because not only is it going to give flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste, it does give you some protection from some pretty notable cards. Black and red, right? So that gets rid of the Blasphemous Axe and all black removal coming your way. Pretty solid. Additionally, the access to haste is going to make it to where we can win with Mortarion the turn he comes down if we can, activate him for enough demons. Let's move on to ramp, which is super important in this deck. We have Pitiless Plunderer. This is one of the reasons it's not super crazy to cast Mortarion and Akroma's Memorial on the same turn, right? Because honestly, we're sacking 6 Shadowborn Apostles, netting ourselves 6 treasure tokens, and then we're slamming those Shadowborn Apostles back onto the battlefield, sacking them again, 12 treasure tokens. So again, it's not hard to see why what I'm saying is very doable. Charcoal Diamond and Marble Diamond, just super solid 2-drop mana rocks. Arcane Signet, Orzhov Signet, again, we're ramping on turn 2, Wayfarer's Bauble, and Soul Ring. Just solid cards to throw in the deck, that way we're ramping when everybody else is. Moving on to card draw, we have Welcoming Vampire. This is just basically going to be another copy of Folk Hero, right? Now we can easily draw 2 cards a turn instead of just 1. Grim Horror Specs, Midnight Reaper, and Dark Prophecy. These are super solid cards because whenever we sack those 6 apostles, we're going to draw 6 cards and lose 6 life, which again, that's where I got that 6 number for Mortarion. Stinging Study, a super solid card. I think 4 is the cutoff for this, right? Because 5 mana for 4 cards still feels pretty good, but 5 mana for 3 cards, I don't know about that one. So I think 4 is definitely the cutoff. We do run Phyrexian Arena. We are kind of just trying to draw additional cards each turn. And with Folk Hero, I think it's pretty decent to have Phyrexian Arena on the battlefield. So now you're guaranteed to draw 3 cards a turn because you're getting 1 off Folk Hero, 1 off Phyrexian Arena, and your card per turn. Pretty solid. Read the Bones. This just smooths out your cards early game, making sure you get those land drops. Castle of Lockway. Not only is this super solid card advantage, but additionally, we're going to have to pay some life when we use it, which again can set off that Mortarion. Moving on to removal, we have Rite of Oblivion, Generous Gift, and Anguish Unmaking. Super solid cards, they get rid of a permanent, and honestly guys, I think Rite of Oblivion is super underrated. All you have to do is sack a creature and you're getting rid of a permanent, and it has flashback on it. A really solid card that I think needs to see more play. Then we have our board wipes with Dam and Austere Command, super flexible cards. Additionally, we do run some MDFCs with Hagra Mauling and Ondu Inversion, just for some extra little removal there that doesn't take up a card slot. And that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Let me know what you think about it. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors. I'll see you in the next one.